You wake up in the morning, go to the kitchen, fill a glass of water, drink it, and think, good, healthy, duty fulfilled. But what if this exact glass of water, depending on how you drink it, either activates 6 important processes in your body or completely blocks 3 of them? Because it's not just about what you drink, it's about when, how, and with what. In Japan, a morning routine called mitsuori has existed for decades. Warm water right after waking up. Not as a wellness trend, not as an internet hack, but as a medical recommendation that many Japanese doctors give to their patients. And today I'll show you what happens in your body in the first 30 minutes after a glass of warm water. Why cold water in the morning can cause exactly the opposite. Which 3 mistakes almost everyone makes. And at the end of this video, I'll show you a simple morning protocol. My name is Dr. Andrew Parker. And on this channel, we talk about health, longevity, and how you can optimally support your body even after 50. Let's start with something that most people never consider. While you sleep, your body continuously loses fluid through breathing, through the skin, through the kidneys. When you wake up in the morning, your body is therefore already slightly dehydrated. The blood is a bit thicker, the mucous membranes are drier, the lymph is slower, the kidneys are under more concentrated stress, and the liver is still working on breaking down the metabolic products of the night. And it is precisely in this state that most people make their first decision of the day. Coffee, even before water reaches the body. The problem with that is not coffee itself. Coffee can have health benefits, but coffee on an empty stomach before water is something completely different. Because caffeine stimulates the release of cortisol, the stress hormone that already reaches its natural peak in the morning anyway. At the same time, coffee has a mild diuretic effect. This means the body loses additional fluid even though it actually urgently needs hydration. Many people therefore start their day not refreshed, but physiologically stressed. And that's exactly why the first glass of water in the morning is so crucial. The human body consists of about 60 to 70% water. The brain is even about 75%. The lungs almost 90%. The blood over 80%. Water is not just a drink. It is the medium in which practically every biological reaction takes place. Hormones are transported through water. Nutrients are dissolved in water. Waste products are excreted through water. Enzymes only function in an aqueous environment. Without sufficient fluid, these processes run more slowly and inefficiently. And now comes something important for people over 50. With increasing age, the water content of the body decreases. At the same time, the feeling of thirst becomes weaker. This means many older people are chronically slightly dehydrated without even noticing it. And that is exactly why the first glass of water in the morning has a much greater effect than most people think. Now we come to what actually happens in the first 30 minutes. The first process concerns the mucous membranes. Stomach, intestines, and digestive tract are covered on the inside by a protective layer of mucus. After several hours without fluid, this layer becomes thinner. Warm water stimulates mucus production. Cold water, on the other hand, can trigger a slight contraction of the smooth muscles. The digestive organs react less actively, and that leads directly to the second process, the activation of intestinal movement. The so-called peristalsis is the wave-like movement of the intestine that transports food. Warm water acts like a gentle starting pulse. Many people therefore report that they go to the toilet more regularly after warm water in the morning. Not because warm water is a laxative, but because natural bowel activity is supported. The third process concerns the gallbladder. The gallbladder stores bile, a fluid that is crucial for fat digestion and detoxification. After the night, this system works more slowly. And exactly at this point, many people make their first big mistake. They drink cold water, directly from the refrigerator, or ice cold from the tap. That feels refreshing for a short time. But physiologically, something else happens. Cold signals the body not activation, but a protective reaction. The muscles contract slightly. Digestive processes slow down. Mucous membrane production decreases. The gallbladder reacts less efficiently. Warm means opening. Cold means contraction. And that's why the temperature makes an enormous difference. Ideal is water between 30 and 40 degrees Celsius. Not hot, not boiling, but pleasantly warm. It is precisely in this range that the processes run most effectively. The fourth process concerns the lymph. The fourth process concerns the lymph. The lymph transports waste products from the tissue. Unlike blood, however, it does not have its own pump like the heart. It depends on movement and sufficient fluid. After the night, lymph circulation is slower. Warm water helps to reactivate this system, and many people notice this indirectly. Less of a feeling of heaviness in the morning, a clearer head, more energy. The fifth process concerns the liver. While you sleep, the liver works continuously. It filters metabolic products, processes hormones, and neutralizes stressors. But all these substances must then be excreted, and for that, the body needs fluid. And now comes the sixth effect, one of the most underrated. Water directly influences brain function. Even mild dehydration can measurably worsen concentration, memory, and responsiveness. And consider this. After 8 hours of sleep, your brain is already slightly undersupplied with fluid. This means many people try to make decisions in the morning, answer emails, or solve problems, eyed with a brain that isn't working optimally, yet physiologically. A large glass of warm water in the morning doesn't change that magically, but it gives the brain exactly what it needs first after the night: hydration. And in the next section, we'll talk about the 3 biggest mistakes that almost everyone makes in the morning. Mistakes that can ruin the entire effect of morning water. Now, let's talk about the 3 mistakes that massively reduce the effect of morning water, even though most people believe they are already doing everything right. The first mistake is the temperature. Cold water in the morning affects the body completely differently than warm water. And I know many people love that feeling of ice-cold water right after waking up. It feels fresh, awake, activating. But that is precisely where the physiological misunderstanding often lies, because the body initially reacts to intense cold with a protective reaction. The blood vessels constrict slightly. The digestive organs receive less blood flow for a short time. Bowel movement slows down. The gallbladder contracts differently than desired. Imagine trying to bring a cold engine to full power immediately in the morning. That's exactly how cold water feels to the digestive tract. Warm water, on the other hand, signals safety and activation to the body. The mucous membranes receive better blood flow. The muscles relax. The intestines begin to move more naturally. Digestion gently starts up. And it is important to remember, warm does not mean hot. Many people then make the opposite mistake. They drink extremely hot water or boiling tea immediately after getting up. This unnecessarily irritates the mucous membranes. The ideal temperature is roughly between 30 and 40 degrees Celsius. In other words, about body temperature. Pleasantly warm in the hand, not burning. The second major mistake concerns the amount. Many people drink only a few sips of water in the morning. A small glass, maybe 100 milliliters. Physiologically, that is often not enough. The body needs enough fluid to actually feel a difference. The minimum amount is about 300 milliliters. Better is 400 to 500 milliliters. Not gulped down all at once, but slowly. And that is exactly what's crucial. If you drink water extremely fast, part of it simply passes through the gastrointestinal tract too quickly. The body can only absorb fluid optimally at a certain speed. Therefore, I recommend slow sips over 5 to 10 minutes. No hurried drinking, no quickly down with it, but consciously. Because this small difference alone already changes the effect. And now comes mistake number 3. Probably the most common of all. People drink water and immediately eat breakfast afterwards. Precisely because of this, the actual effect is often interrupted, because the water needs time to initiate the physiological processes. The gallbladder needs time to react. The mucous membranes need time for rehydration. Bowel movement does not start within 2 minutes. The optimal time window between water and breakfast is about 30 minutes. In these 30 minutes, the body can reset itself. And what's interesting, many people report changes after just a few days. More regular bowel movements, less feeling of heaviness in the morning, more clarity in the head, less fatigue directly after waking up. Not because water is a miracle cure, but because the body finally gets what it lacked after the night. Und jetzt möchte ich einen Mythos ansprechen, der erstaunlich hartnäckig ist. Der Mythos lautet, zu viel Wasser ist gefährlich. Technisch stimmt das. Praktisch ist es für die meisten Menschen völlig irrelevant. Eine sogenannte Wasservergiftung entsteht nur, wenn in extrem kurzer Zeit sehr große Mengen Wasser aufgenommen werden. Aber normale Mengen von 1,5 bis 2 Litern über den gesamten Tag verteilt stellen für eine gesunde Niere überhaupt kein Problem dar. Im Gegenteil, chronisch zu wenig trinken ist im Alltag viel häufiger und deutlich problematischer. Besonders nach dem 60. Lebensjahr, denn mit zunehmendem Alter nimmt das Durstgefühl ab. Und genau deshalb beobachten Ärzte bei älteren Menschen häufig Verstopfung, Schwindel, Kopfschmerzen, Konzentrationsprobleme, trockene Haut, dunklen Urin und manchmal sogar Verwirrtheit. Now we come to an important point. When should you be careful with morning water? For example, with severe reflux or chronic heartburn. If stomach acid regularly rises into the esophagus, a large amount of fluid in the morning can increase the pressure in the stomach and worsen symptoms. People with severe heart failure or impaired kidney function should also generally coordinate their daily fluid intake with their doctor. It's about finding the right amount for your body. And now I want to talk about something that is often completely underestimated: water and the brain. The brain is extremely sensitive to a lack of fluid. Even a slight dehydration of about 2% of body weight can significantly worsen concentration and reaction time. After 8 hours of sleep, the body has already lost fluid. Many people believe they are simply not awake yet in the morning, but sometimes the body is simply lacking water. And that also explains why some people can think more clearly after the first glass. Now we come to the additives that can further support your morning water. The first is lemon. Half a teaspoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice is already enough. The citric acid stimulates digestion and supports the activation of the gallbladder. In addition, the body already reacts to the sour taste in the mouth by preparing for food. One thing is important: do not brush your teeth immediately afterwards. The acid makes the tooth enamel temporarily more sensitive. Wait about 30 minutes. The second interesting supplement is ginger, especially for people with a sensitive stomach. Ginger contains gingerols and shogols, plant substances traditionally linked with calming effects. A small piece of fresh ginger is completely sufficient. Simply let it steep in warm water for a few minutes. Many people report less nausea in the morning and a more pleasant gut feeling. The third supplement is turmeric, primarily because of the active ingredient curcumin. Curcumin is being intensively researched, especially in connection with inflammatory processes. However, there is a problem. The body absorbs curcumin on its own only poorly. And that is exactly why black pepper is often combined. Piperine can significantly improve absorption. And now comes another ingredient that many already have at home: apple cider vinegar. It contains acetic acid and is traditionally used to support digestion. 1 teaspoon is enough. But very important: never drink it neat. And then rinse your mouth with water, because both lemon and vinegar can attack the tooth enamel in the long term if used undiluted. In the next section, I will show you the full morning protocol step by step, including the ideal order, the optimal combination, and why people over 50 can benefit from it in particular. Now, let me show you the complete morning water protocol, step by step. Nothing complicated, nothing extreme, no internet trend. Just a simple physiological routine that supports your body immediately after waking up. And most importantly, this is not about perfection. You do not need to do everything exactly the same every single morning. What truly matters is consistency, because the body responds to habits. Step number 1 actually begins the night before. Prepare a large glass of water, around 14 to 17 ounces. Leave it at room temperature overnight. Why? Because room temperature water is easier to warm gently in the morning, and the temperature is easier to control than freshly boiled water. The next morning, like immediately after waking up, in comes step 2. Before checking your phone, before coffee, before breakfast, warm the water slightly, not boiling, not tea hot, just comfortably warm. Around 86 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Most people underestimate how sensitive the body is to temperature first thing in the morning. After a night of rest, the digestive system is still in a low activity state. Warm water acts like a gentle activation signal. Step 3. Now you can add optional ingredients: half a teaspoon of fresh lemon juice, a small pinch of black pepper, optionally a little turmeric or a small piece of fresh ginger. And this is very important to understand. These ingredients are not the main point. The foundation is still the water itself. Many people make the mistake of believing only the superfoods matter, but without proper hydration, many processes still function poorly. Water is the foundation. Everything else is simply enhancement. Step 4. Drink slowly. Not rushed. Not all at once. Small sips over 5 to 10 minutes. And try not to walk around or do stressful tasks while drinking. The body reacts differently to calmness than it does to stress. When you drink water slowly, the stomach relaxes. Absorption becomes more balanced. Circulation responds more gently. Step 5. Now comes the most important part. Wait at least 30 minutes before breakfast, and this is exactly where many people quit. Because they think this little glass of water cannot possibly matter that much. But during those 30 minutes, the body begins to shift. The mucous membranes rehydrate. The intestines begin moving. The liver can eliminate metabolic waste more efficiently. The kidneys begin diluting concentrated waste products. And what is interesting is this. After just a few days, many people notice they feel less sluggish in the morning. Not because of magic, but because the body is finally starting the day in a physiologically supportive way. Now let us talk about the intestines. Because the digestive system is one of the biggest beneficiaries of this routine, the protective mucus layer inside the intestines is composed largely of water. When the body is chronically underhydrated, this layer becomes thinner. The result, harder stool, slower bowel movement, more difficult elimination. And this is exactly what many people over 50 or 60 experience. Constipation, bloating, heaviness in the abdomen, the feeling of incomplete emptying. People often immediately think they need medication, but sometimes what is missing is simply enough fluid, especially in the morning. Warm water acts almost like lubrication for a dry mechanism, not aggressively, not artificially, but physiologically. And now we come to an organ almost nobody discusses in this context, the kidneys. Your kidneys filter approximately 45 to 50 gallons of blood every day. Almost all of that fluid is reabsorbed. Only a small amount eventually becomes urine. But the kidneys require water to perform that filtration efficiently. When there is not enough fluid available, metabolic waste products become more concentrated. Uric acid, calcium oxalate, other minerals, and over time the risk of kidney stones increases. That is why morning urine is often the darkest. It directly reflects how concentrated the body became overnight. If your urine is consistently dark yellow or amber in the morning, that is often a direct sign of dehydration. Many people completely ignore this signal, even though the body is clearly communicating what it needs. Now let us discuss another connection many people never think about: water and joints. Cartilage is composed largely of water, and cartilage does not have its own direct blood supply like many other tissues. It depends on movement and fluid exchange, almost like a sponge. When hydration is chronically low, cartilage gradually loses some of its elasticity. Joints feel stiffer. Movement becomes less comfortable. Of course, this does not mean water cures arthritis. But without adequate hydration, the body cannot properly support healthy joint function. And this is why many people report less morning stiffness after improving their hydration habits. Now let us talk about something extremely important: why older adults often no longer feel thirsty. The sensation of thirst is controlled by specialized receptors in the brain called osmoreceptors. They monitor the concentration of the blood. When blood becomes too concentrated, the brain triggers thirst. But with age, these sensors become less sensitive. That means many adults over 60 are already significantly dehydrated before thirst even appears. And that is why "I'm not thirsty" is not reliable evidence of proper hydration. The easiest way to monitor hydration is urine color. Light yellow usually indicates good hydration. Dark yellow often means not enough fluids. And there is another simple test. Gently pinch the skin on the back of your hand and release it. If the skin quickly returns to normal, hydration is usually adequate. If the fold remains briefly visible, dehydration may be present. This test becomes less accurate with age because skin elasticity naturally declines. but it can still provide a general indication. Now, let us talk about coffee. Does coffee count toward hydration? Partially, yes. Coffee contains water, but caffeine also has a mild diuretic effect, so the net hydration effect is not the same as pure water. A simple rule is this: for every cup of coffee, drink an additional glass of water. And even more importantly, ideally, the first drink of the day should be water, not coffee. Now we come to something especially important for adults over 50: water and medications. Many medications are better tolerated when the body is properly hydrated. Blood pressure medication, diabetes medication, cholesterol medication, stomach medication. People who swallow pills with just a sip of coffee and then barely drink anything afterward are placing unnecessary stress on the body. The basic rule is simple: take medications with plenty of water, at least 7 ounces, and ideally, the first large glass of water should come before most medications. One important exception involves certain thyroid medications. These often must be taken on an empty stomach with water and require waiting before breakfast. So always remember, your physician's instructions come first. And in the next section, we will talk about headaches, skin aging, intermittent fasting, and why water plays a much bigger role in all of them than most people realize. Now, let us talk about a connection many people completely underestimate: water and headaches. Headaches are one of the most common symptoms of mild dehydration, especially in the morning or early afternoon. The brain is surrounded by a fluid called cerebrospinal fluid. This clear fluid protects and cushions the brain. When the body becomes dehydrated, this balance changes slightly. Many people do not recognize this as thirst. Instead, they feel pressure in the head, fatigue, difficulty concentrating. And this is exactly why some people experience something remarkable. They drink a large glass of water, and within 20 to 30 minutes, the headache significantly improves. Of course, frequent or severe headaches should always be medically evaluated, but mild dehydration is an incredibly common trigger. Now let us move to another important topic: the skin. As we age, the skin naturally loses moisture. It becomes drier, thinner, less elastic. That is why many people spend enormous amounts of money on creams, serums, and cosmetic products. But the most important hydration does not begin from the outside. It begins from within, because skin cells function properly only when adequate fluid is available. Water does not erase wrinkles. Water does not stop aging, but chronic dehydration accelerates dryness and loss of elasticity. That is why many people notice after several weeks of improved hydration: less dry skin, more firmness, less tightness. Not dramatically, but noticeably. Now let us talk about intermittent fasting. Many people ask, does water break a fast? No. Pure water contains no calories and does not trigger a meaningful insulin response. In fact, during fasting, water actually helps the body eliminate metabolic waste more efficiently. The kidneys work better, the liver detoxifies more effectively, mental clarity remains more stable, and even a small amount of lemon juice in water changes virtually nothing. Half a teaspoon of lemon juice contains physiologically insignificant calories. What truly breaks a fast is milk in coffee, honey in tea, fruit juice, sugary drinks. That means the morning water protocol works perfectly with intermittent fasting. Now let me show you a very simple weekly plan. Not theoretical, actually practical. Tonight, prepare a glass of water. If possible, buy lemon, ginger, or turmeric. Days 1 through 3. Start simply. About 7 ounces of warm water. No added ingredients necessary. Just the correct temperature and 30 minutes before breakfast. Allow the body to adjust first. Days 4 through 7. Increase gradually to 10 to 14 ounces. Optionally add lemon juice. Starting in week 2. The full protocol: warm water, lemon, optional ginger or turmeric with black pepper. Now let us briefly discuss water quality, because this question comes up constantly: is tap water good enough? In most developed countries, yes. Tap water is among the most heavily regulated food-grade substances available. Many people automatically assume bottled water is superior. That is not necessarily true. Hard water, water rich in calcium and magnesium, can actually provide beneficial minerals. And magnesium is especially important after age 50. Magnesium supports muscle and nerve function, heart rhythm, energy production. People who choose mineral water may benefit from checking magnesium levels. Now, let us answer another common question. How quickly do changes appear? The first effects often appear faster than people expect. Within just a few days, many people report more regular bowel movements, less morning sluggishness, better mental clarity after waking up. After 2 or 3 weeks, some people also report more stable energy, less dry skin, fewer headaches, less bloating. And remember, this does not mean water cures disease, but the body functions better when its most basic resource is adequately supplied. Now let us discuss warning signs. When should you see a doctor? If symptoms continue despite proper hydration. For example, persistently dark urine, swelling in the legs, severe acid reflux, shortness of breath, extreme fatigue, upper abdominal pain. In these situations, the heart, kidneys, or digestive system should be medically evaluated, and very importantly, if you take medications or have existing medical conditions, discuss significant changes in fluid intake with your doctor. Because even something as simple as water must be individualized. But for most people, the reality is simple. The body needs fluid in the morning, not eventually, not only at lunchtime, but immediately after the night. And perhaps this is one of the simplest health mistakes of all. People begin the day dehydrated and assume fatigue, brain fog, and sluggishness are simply normal, when sometimes the body is asking for just one thing first: water. So here's my recommendation for tomorrow morning. Before coffee, before breakfast, before checking your phone. Drink a large glass of warm water, slowly, intentionally, and give your body 30 minutes. Then simply observe what happens. My name is Dr. Andrew Parker, and if this video helped you, subscribe to the channel and write in the comments, "I'm starting now." I would love to hear what changes you notice over the next few days.